Hello, welcome. I'm Dr. Paul, and I created just a simple little primer on our sleep apnea test. I imagine that either you're interested in it or one of our providers recommended you to be tested. So let's just jump straight into it. The most common signs of sleep apnea are morning headaches. That tends to be common. Frequent urination, daytime sleepiness, loud snoring, that's often a classic sign, weight gain, impaired memory, moodiness, making gasping or choking sounds, especially if you wake up doing that, night sweats. Those are pretty common. Let's look at the Mayo Clinic. If you want to look a little bit further and do some of your own research, which I would recommend, Mayo Clinic has a simple, straightforward review of sleep apnea. Sleep apnea falls into three forms: obstructive sleep apnea, usually an anatomical issue going on; central sleep apnea, which occurs when your brain doesn't send the proper signals to the muscles; and then a complex, which is basically both of them together. Again, it goes over the symptoms here, talks about when to see it, talks about the definition of obstructive, central. We could see some of the risks issues or risk levels for it is that if you have excess weight, if you're obese, that tends to be an issue. If you have a neck circumference that's large like mine, that tends to be an issue. A narrow airway, being male, yeah, right. Being older, right. Family history, use of alcohol, etc., smoking, nasal congestion, medical conditions. So those are kind of the main causes, or at least relationships, to sleep apnea. And another one for central is going to be being older, being male, heart disorders, medications again, and stroke. So let's just jump in and talk about how is it diagnosed. Well, I just made this little simple summary here. First of all, the sleep study, the device that we're going to use, is the Nonin 3150. Nonin makes some of the best equipment in the world for oxygen saturation measurements. So it's designed to measure oxygen desaturation events. Like, how many times are you going into low oxygen? And this is measured while you're sleeping. So it's a device you wear at night. Normal oxygen levels are between 93 and 98%. Find that pretty true. Desaturation events are the number of events where your oxygen drops below 88%. So again, pay attention to that. Desaturation events. How many times during the night while you were sleeping did your oxygen drop below 88%? Sleep apnea is usually diagnosed by taking the number of desaturation events and dividing them by time. So here's an example. John had 75 events as he slept for 8 hours. So we'll take his 75 events, we'll divide it by 8, and it equals 9.3 events per hour. Okay, so we kind of got a basic understanding. Let's go look at some tests so we can get an example. So I'm going to go over here to some tests that I had saved. And the first thing is we'll just kind of review this. This is an explanation of how sleep apnea is diagnosed, and it goes from no sleep apnea to mild sleep apnea on to moderate and severe. But I took all of it and I kind of simplified it into this area right here. So what it says here is if there are 5 or greater desaturation events, but not quite to 15, then it's called mild sleep apnea. And if there's 15 to 30 desaturation events per hour, then it's considered moderate sleep apnea. And if there's 30 or above desaturation events per hour, then it's considered severe sleep apnea. So let's look at these tests here. I have a couple that I saved. Let's start with mine. So you can notice here, again, you can see my weight, my BMI. I'm a heavyset guy. My age is 59. And the duration of my sleep was 6 hours and 51 minutes. And then if we were to look at, these are the events that occurred at different oxygen saturation levels. So From 94 to 90, I had 26 events. From 89 to 85, I had 24 events. And then from 84 to 80, I had 5 events. If we were to add those events up, it would come up to 55 events. If we took those 55 events and we divided it by the time I slept, it comes up to about 8 events per hour. So if we go back and we look at where I fit, I'm above 5, but I'm not quite at 15, so it would diagnose me with mild sleep apnea. So we have another test here. Let's look at this young lady. This young lady is 75. She's 112 pounds. Her BMI is 18.7, very thin. And we see that she had quite a few events, from 94 to 90, 113, 89 to 85 saturation at 104, and then 18 events from 84 to 80%. We see if we added all those up, she had 240 events. If we divide that by her time that she slept, she had 29.4 events per hour. We go back to our diagnostic parameters and we find out she had 29. That puts her at the upper end of moderate sleep apnea. She didn't quite hit 30. So let's go back, because we did her test a second night, and we see there's her sleep duration, and there's the number of events, and we found out she had 290 events, and now her score is 33.4 events per hour. And if we go back again and we look, we find out, whoa, she's over 30 now, and she's severe sleep apnea. So we could go moderate to severe sleep apnea. This was confirmed. And this young lady had already done a sleep study, so she had wanted to confirm it because she was having so much trouble with the sleep apnea machine. So that's kind of the basic understanding about sleep apnea and diagnosing it. And these test results that you see here, these are actually from our device. This is the Nonin. And let's just take a quick look at that product real quick. So if we run over here, we can jump up to here. And this is the actual device that you would be wearing. It fits over your finger and measures oxygen saturation while you sleep, and kind of hooked to a watch-like feature so that it can just hold everything in place while you sleep. Nonin builds some of the best devices there are, so we're proud to have it. It's often used by clinics. It's even used in home care, or again, other settings where we need to measure their overnight sleeping. So very great device. I'm going to show you in the next video how to put it on and use it. All right, thank you very much. I'll show you in the next video what we're going to do.